Hello there, and welcome to Alvarez's Diecast Customs. Now today we're going to be working on this Hot Wheels 1969 Ford Mustang Boss. Really love my Mustangs, I do, especially if you're a fan of my channel. You would have seen I've done quite a few customs on them throughout my time on here. So here's another one to the pile. Let's just take a closer look at him. Yeah, I do like the style on this one. Not too sure on the paint job that Hot Wheels have given it, sort of some fake engine bits on the bonnet there. Not too keen on them. The wheels look just a little bit too small for the body as well. Overall though, I do like the casting on it, it's really neat. Looks about right. I've already taken the time to drill the posts out on this one. I start off with a 2mm drill bit and then work up to a 5mm to remove the main piece of the head off. And I like to use these 5mm self-tapping screws to screw the base back on. The screws themselves were purchased off eBay, a big bag of them for a couple of quid. They'll last me forever, the amount that came in there. I'm going to get this thing apart. Quite nicely detailed little interior. Nice clear window piece there. It's got some sort of printing on the windscreen there, but this can be easily removed with one of those whiteboard markers. You just run it over that a couple of times and wipe it off, and it comes off completely. It's like it was never there. Yeah, nice body. Paint's not all that great. That needs to come off. Wheels, we won't be keeping them. Literally just going to force them out using my fingers. Nicely detailed little chassis there. Anyway, let's get that paint stripped. There we go, that's after stripping. Popped it in a pot paint stripper for about an hour, and then once that's done, pop under a tap and use an old toothbrush to scrape the remaining bits of the paint off, and that's what you're left with. So I'll be going around just using some fine diamond files to clean up some of the casting edges on this, as they can be quite rough straight out of the factory. So I just like to smooth it all around and sharpen them up. Spend a good while doing this, trying to catch all the edges I can and just sort of sharpen them around some of the details around the headlight areas and bonnet. They tend to look a bit rough and mangled there, especially around the windows as well. Usually get sort of like little casting errors and bubbles and things like that. So yeah, really spend your time getting rid of those. I also use some Tamiya emery paper as well, just to clear up some of the edges on the body and just smooth it over completely. This gets it all ready for painting. As you can see, that's nicely smoothed over. Get that all cleared up. So I've gone and chose some wheels for this one. I'll be using these Monoblock wheels. These are a good fitment. Got that sort of muscle car look to them. They do come with these brass rods for mounting them in the body. I assume you just crimp the ends of them to get the wheels to stay on. I don't really like this method of doing it, so I'll be doing away with these brass axles and coming up with my usual method of attaching them. So what I'm going to be using is the original axles the car came with, and just be clipping these in half. Just use a pair of side cutters. Hold my hand over the wheels as well while I'm clipping them off, otherwise they go flying around the room and I'll never find them again. So yeah, once those have been nicely halved, I can just remove them and then use them with these. They're a perfect fit. And you know how I do it. I use the brass rod, and then I thread the Hot Wheels axles straight into there. Once I can finally get it in. And there you go. This method allows the wheels to stay exactly where you need them. They don't slide up and down the axles, which works really well for sort of widening the stance on some of your builds. I just have to remove those little teeth that hold in the original axles. So again, with the side cutters, just clip those off. I like to remove these as it prevents them from interfering with the axles that I'm going to be placing in there. As you see, the brass rod that I use literally drops straight into those slots that were originally there. And as you see there, allowing me to sort of dictate where I want the wheels to be placed by extending or shortening the axle with the brass rods. Yeah, very pleased with that. I've already taken the time to go about putting those axles together. You've seen me do this many times before. I'll put a link up in the top area on the right there for another video where I went into a full detail on how I made these axles. But they're very simple. Just a bit of super glue and those brass tubes. Just grind a little hole into them. Place a bit of super glue into it, then thread the axles in themselves, and it collects the glue at the end while it slides into the holes. So you can see where I've ground out little holes there, place the glue. On to painting this now. So I went ahead and painted it in a primer spray to begin with, and then went over with this Ford Blue. This is directly from a spray can. I did 2 coats of primer and then 2 coats of blue. It's a really nice colour. One of my favourites that I have. I'm just going to be going around doing a little bit of detailing to begin with. Painting in sort of the front grille area and around the headlights in matte black from Revell. Front grille too. And the front splitter scoop as well. Now onto the interior. As you see, I've gave it a good primer coat. And now I'm just going to go over completely with some matte black. The primer allows any paint that I put onto it to adhere really well. You can usually get away with just 1 coat when you're painting over the primer. As initially the basic plastic that Hot Wheels craft their stuff in, it can be quite sort of waxy. It's quite difficult to get brush paints to stick to them properly. But with the primer coat, it adheres a lot better. I'll also be just painting in the footwell on the chassis piece as well. As you can slightly see that through the footwell on the driver's side on the interior. As you can see there. Just be adding some extra details on the chassis too, just using this silver Sharpie pen. Very quick and clean method of just adding some extra details. Now onto the bright work chrome areas on the body. I'll just be painting these in some Revell silver. Just painting in the bumpers and some of the little sort of bits on pieces on the front there. Need quite a steady hand to do this. I like to use some very good quality fine brushes. It really helps me to do this without making a right pig's ear of it. And there's the rear bumper, paint that on. Now I'll be using this Molotow chrome pen to do the window trim around the windows here. I prefer the thick tip on these Molotow chrome pens, as it's a lot easier to pick out the finer details around the window rather than having the thin one, which will just slip and slide all over the edges. The thick one sort of locks in and you're able to literally just draw them straight on. So yeah, just carefully go around the windows, trying to get a very even, smooth line. This pen does tend to pull up quite quickly, so you need to keep it moving pretty quickly to prevent that. So I'll be doing the front and rear window trims on this one. I'll just show you the front ones just for benefit. Yep, that looks really good. You also just go around the front grille as well with the chrome pen. I could have done it with the brush, but I felt the chrome pen would give me a neater edge to it. And also some small details on the rear there, and also the tail lights, which I'll go over with some Tamiya Clear Red at some point. Now onto my favourite bit, the Citadel Nuln Oil. Literally just a black wash to cover whole details of the body here and on the chassis. I literally just load it up and go over some of the engine details on the chassis. I put it on quite thickly, as when it dries it sort of tones it down quite a bit. But it really highlights a lot of the details on this. One of my tried and true methods. So it's time to put it all back together now. I've gone ahead and clear coated it. In the meantime, I use some polyurethane spray straight out of a spray can, 2 coats of it, and then leave it for a day or 2 to dry. You can get about putting it back together now. There's that interior piece. You see I added some little extra details there, and also a quick non-oil wash over the top. Nothing too over the top at all. There's our wheels from Monoblocks. Really nice these are. Chassis piece. That's with the non-oil and clear coat on top. Nicely sealed in. But yeah, you can see on the rear there I added the details of the tail lights with the Tamiya Clear Red. Neglected to film that. Or if I did, I've lost the footage. I appear to be missing my screwdriver again. Seems that damn Supersonico's nicked it again. There we go. Get that thing put back together. There's those 5mm self-tapping screws I like to use. Pop those back in. that screwed tightly back together. And now we can reveal it. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we started with. Pretty cool looking thing. Not too keen on sort of the paint details that they've tried to add to the front there. Really strange. Wheels aren't too great either, but overall really nice casting. And here's what I came up with. Really nice looking Ford Mustang. Sort of the thing I'd love to drive around in real life. Sort of another one of my dream cars, I should say. Beautiful clear coat on this one again. I do feel the polyurethane clear coats are the best way to go with them. They come out so much better than any other clear coats I've used before. Yeah, really nice blue as well. Really deep colour once you get that clear coated on it. You may notice in the panel lines on the body, I did go over those with a little bit of Nuln Oil to highlight them. Gives a bit more depth to the details there. Some nice detail on the front there. Front headlights were highlighted with some white paint using a toothpick. There's our chassis details. As you can see, the Nuln Oil really picks those out quite nicely. And those awesome wheels from Monoblock. Really liked those. Some of the best wheels I've used. So yeah, very pleased with how this one came out. I do hope you have enjoyed watching me put this one together. It's a really nice build. As you may have noticed, I have had about a month or so off the customs. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I had to take a little bit of a break now and then. And over the new year and all that, I just needed some time off. Not just from customs, but from YouTube in general. I find it a bit of a time sink at times, and I find myself sort of procrastinating while I'm on YouTube, not really getting anything done. So I tried to pull away from that for a while and do some other things in the meantime and catch up on some hobbies. But now I'm back for a time. And this was my first custom back. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching me do this one. If you stick around for a few more moments, I've got a bonus custom coming on at the end. So yeah, as for that bonus custom that I did, I took a Hot Wheels night shifter and I did a build on Instagram. And this is what I came up with. You can see there's the wheels I popped on. They're from Scuderia 73. I added some details with some plasticard and whatnot. And some bits and pieces. I tried to go with sort of a cyberpunk look to it. This is what I came up with. It's a bit more of like a really earthy Gasland sort of look to it. Futuristic. Really love these night shifters. It's just sort of a little thing I did in the meantime while I was taking a break, just to sort of reinvigorate me. Yeah, really enjoyed this one, especially without having the cameras rolling. I felt I had a bit more freedom, I suppose. I didn't have to record every step, so I could try a bit more different things with it. You may have remembered I did a night shifter before. This is the sort of street version that I did. And now I've got the sort of Badlands cyberpunk looking thing. So yeah, this was done on my Instagram account on Alvarez Azel. You would have seen me put this one together on there. There'll be some more exclusive Instagram builds over the time in the future. So do follow me on there if you want to keep up to date with those. Yeah, I really enjoyed putting this one together. One of my favourite Hot Wheels sort of fantasy castings that they do. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed watching. This has been Alvarez's Diecast Customs, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.